Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the In the Hub podcast, brought to you by Playbox Technology UK. In this episode, we'll be speaking to Ben Dales and Lisa Collins from the IABM, the International Trade Association for the Broadcast and Media Industry. The IABM's digital networking, learning and engagement platform, BaM Live, officially begins today, on Wednesday the 17th of March. The Playbox team will be getting involved, so feel free to say hello to us there and take in all of the great content that BaM Live has to offer. Hope you enjoy this episode, where we'll be digging in a little bit more to how BaM Live came to be and where it's headed for the future. So welcome to the In the Hub podcast, guys. How are you both doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, great, thanks, Neil. Thank you for having us on.
Awesome. No, thank you very much, guys, for coming on. I just wanted to quickly ask before we do get started, I just want to know what the last kind of week has been like for you guys, because I know that for anyone listening, BaM Live, the platform, has just launched in the last week. And, you know, was it a smooth process or was it quite hectic?
It was a fun process, I think. Like all of these things, it always, you know, you kind of have to go through lots of testing and everything. But, you know, we've worked really well as a team like we always do on these events. And yeah, it's really, I personally find it really exciting when you see, you know, we're seeing delegates on the platform, we're seeing them networking already, you know, we're seeing the booths getting traffic already. So it all makes all of that hard work worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Ben and I are crazy people. You know, we thrive on the pressure and the stress, and, you know, it creates that buzz that just keeps you going, and you just want to see the end result at the end of the day. So it's been an exciting week.
Yeah, I agree. It is. The interesting thing is, it is very different doing a digital event to an in-person event. I think, you know, a lot more work has to go into the digital one, I think, you know, because there's so many different variables in it. You know, when you've got an in-person event, as long as you've got the venue and you've got your AV crew, you know, one of the biggest problems is someone might fall over on the way up to the stage. Whereas, you know, when you've got these, we've been doing speaker tech checks and, you know, you check everything as best as you can, but, you know, the modern technology always throws a curveball in there at some point.
So, Lisa, I think we'll start with you if that's okay. So, for anyone who might not already know, could you just run us through a bit of the background on the IABM as an association?
Yeah, sure. So IABM is a membership organisation. We've been around for nearly 50 years. So we've been around for some time. Although with the age, we're still delivering young, vibrant benefits for our members. Our members, we have 500 members worldwide, and our members are those companies that you traditionally see as exhibitors on the show floor at shows like IBC and NAB. Why do they become members? Well, IABM are really very much that piece of glue in the middle that's putting the entire ecosystem together. So we have a platform, currently a virtual platform, where many end customers are visiting to update themselves on knowledge, look for the most up-to-date tech trends, take a look at what new products are out there. We're very much independent and tech neutral, and that's why people work with us.
And what would you say is the kind of main goal of the IABM? What does the association kind of strive to achieve in our industry, if there even is an end goal?
Yeah, so the end goal is really for our industry to ensure that the businesses within it remain visible and profitable. That's really the end game, and making those really important connections to ensure our members are meeting possible customers, and those customers are meeting the best vendors that are out there.
So Ben, if we'll just move on to you slightly to talk a bit about BaM Live. For anyone who might not already know about BaM Live, could you just quickly kind of introduce us to the platform?
Yeah, of course. So BaM Live is more than just an online event. It's a unique digital experience. Whilst there's live stream content that takes place on set dates, it's an experience that is already open. We want people to go on there. We know we can't replicate the in-person, you know, chance meetings you would get at a trade show, the handing over of a business card, but we think we've got as close as we can to with that. So it's designed so that people can have a whole experience throughout, not just the 2 days of the content. They can go on there. As you said, the platform's already open and they can explore around that. I mean, we'll be touching on the no digital fatigue element later on, but you can explore around there. You can interact with people. And we want it to be something that is ongoing throughout that sort of 1 week before, during, and a week after the actual event.
So I'm hesitant to bring up 2020. I know it was a whirlwind year for many people. But could you just kind of take us back there and run us through some of the circumstances that led to the creation of BaM Live?
I mean, I think Lisa will agree that we very early on in the pandemic, we've always been a pretty digital focused organisation, but we very early on realised that with the absence of trade shows that there would be a need for our members and the wider industry to have this ability to promote themselves, to engage with each other and to network. So we would traditionally have done an event in December, which would normally take place in a traditional conference venue. We spread over the 2 days we would have. And we've always had amazing content and there's always been great networking at these events. And we realised obviously early on that we wouldn't be able to do that face to face. So we started looking about with a new type of event. And that's when we came across the idea of doing BaM Live. And we very early on said we wanted to take this way beyond a traditional webinar type of event. We wanted to get away from that feel.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to say, we didn't want to create a trade show experience. We know that in this virtual world, it being two-dimensional, it's very, very difficult to sell your product or your service online. So, that piece of the missing piece of the jigsaw for us was about trying to encourage engagement and networking. So when we were looking for a platform for BaM Live, it had to have that element. And I know Ben will talk a bit later, we want to improve that moving forward to our March event.
Yeah. So is it always kind of a building process then? You guys are always looking for ways to improve BaM Live, and it's not just a kind of set it and forget it type thing?
I mean, I think the event you'll see in March and you're seeing at the moment is worlds apart from the event we did in December.
Yeah.
And the event you'll see in June will be, we very much, what we've always said, we're never going to sit and, once something works, we're not going to keep it that way. We actually had a speaker a few years ago called Rasmus Ankerson who said, if it isn't broke, consider breaking it. And so we know the events work, but we will always look to improve it. We are taking these on an event by event basis because everything's changing so much. The technology's changing, the way people interact is changing. So we're always looking to build on the success of a previous event and see how far, we're a small team, but we all have a real passion for this event. So we want to see it as the flagship IABM event and we keep pushing it forward.
Also, we're continuing to talk to IABM members and understanding their needs. And the platform has to grow with our members' needs. And we're listening and I hope we're delivering what they're looking for.
Yeah, 100%. And I just wanted to talk about, obviously, a huge thing behind BaM Live is the idea of no digital fatigue. And obviously the hashtag no digital fatigue is obviously tied to the platform. So what does digital fatigue mean to you guys and how are you going about avoiding this?
I think it's that sense of dread you get when someone invites you to an online event. And so bear with me on this. So what we want is, all of us, anybody listening to this, and all of us have watched a webinar where your attention starts to drift because you're on your computer, you open your emails up, you might have a look at your phone, and you've only got one ear on the actual thing that you're listening to. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create something that doesn't fill people with dread, make something that makes them feel they're part of it. So they're not just sat in front of a screen, because especially now, we're all in front of a screen so much. I mean, we finish for the day at whatever time we finish our working day, and we tend to go and sit in front of another screen when we watch television. Television viewing's massively increased during during lockdown. So we wanted something where people felt they could engage. So we have short, sharp pieces of content. So you're never going to feel like you're having to trudge through a really long presentation and death by PowerPoint or anything like that. There's actually pretty much no slides, I think, happening in this. We've got a really cool virtual studio that we're using. Lisa, myself, and the other hosts were all green screened into it from our homes. We're bringing in all of the speakers, so it looks a lot nicer than just having a face on the screen talking to you. And then there's the chat elements to it. There's the poll elements. So whilst you're watching the session, you can be engaging with other people. And then one of the key things is the networking, like we touched on before. So we've made it so you can cruise around the platform. You can dip in and out of different parts. You can go into a networking room. If you don't want to stay in there, move into a different bit. You can watch some curated content. It's very much that the attendee is in control of how their experience goes, rather than us saying, here's the content, sit there and watch it.
That sounds great. And for anyone who might not be able to catch BaM Live, obviously I'm starting on Wednesday 17th. and leading into the 18th. Are you guys going to be recording the sessions and made available later? Or?
Yep, it's all being recorded. So one of the things we did, which we learned from our December event, was we decided to spread the content, the live stream content, throughout the day so that we can capture as many time zones as possible. You know, being an international association, we have members spread all around the world. So the sessions are starting at 9 o'clock GMT, and then we've got sessions running throughout the day all the way up until 6 o'clock GMT. And they will be made available on the platform on demand within around about an hour after they've happened. So if you've missed the morning ones, you can go on again the next day or in the afternoon and you can catch up on them. And they will, of course, be available on our website as well, pretty much straight after the event as well. I think that's what our plans for the Friday will be, to upload mammoth amounts of content.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, guys. So Lisa, I think this might be a question more for you. Where do you envision BaM Live heading in the future? And do you see a future for the platform, or was it kind of just to bridge the gap between COVID and cancelled in-person events?
I've attended lots of different meetings recently. You know, that digital element is never going to go away. It's such an important part of the marketing mix now. So we certainly see BaM Live continuing, and we certainly see ourselves delivering more hybrid style events. You know, we know face-to-face is still an important element, but, you know, people, due to sustainability issues or due to time, won't always be able to travel to that live event. So providing that virtual option as well just means we've got a wider reach for our audiences. So yes, there's definitely life in BaM yet.
We've had a lot of conversations recently, and it's been about how we think the digital events will be more of a kind of supplement, more of an addition to in-person events. So it's not just one or the other. Like you said, it really will be a kind of hybrid offering. I think that's the best way forward for events in our industry.
Yeah, most definitely. And also some of the feedback I've had by, attending some of these virtual events, you can be a little bit more picky with the ones you attend. You don't always have to be there. And it's actually resulting in actually further qualified leads rather than just being on a show floor and scanning anybody that comes by. And you can actually go through those delegate lists and pick who you want to engage with. So I think it's got some really, really clever sort of tools that you can use in this new sort of digital event world.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a huge amount of benefits. So, guys, how can people get involved with BaM Live if they're not registered and set up on the platform already?
Yeah, so it's very easy. They just need to go onto the IABM website, the iabm.org/BaM-live, and they'll find the full agenda there. They'll be able to see, there's a couple of videos that I've made that talks people through the platform. They're all available on there. Or alternatively, just give me, Lisa, or one of the IABM team a shout, and we can get it all sorted for you.
Awesome. And I know you guys are active on the platform and you can be reached on the platform, but how can people get in touch otherwise if they kind of have any inquiries about the platform or the IABM itself?
Yeah, if they just email bamlive@theIABM.org, then that comes through to myself, Lisa, and a number of the rest of the team that are working on the event.
Awesome, guys. So thanks very much for appearing on the podcast today. I think I'm going to let you obviously go and do some more hard work on BaM Live. But yeah, I can't wait to see you in the event when it begins next Wednesday.
That's great. Thanks, Neil. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having us. Look forward to seeing you on the platform.
You too. Bye-bye.